Non-profit organisation, has been around for over 30 years. We just had our big 30-year celebration in the Central Queensland region, and we provide services from Rosedale to Yeppoon and out to Billawheeler. Roseberry has many program areas, including housing, crisis shelters, transition independent living, Parents Next, and we're the lead consortium member for Headspace in Gladstone, a consortium member in Rockhampton for Headspace. We've got the Reconnect Family Support and Youth Support programs here in Gladstone within the Youth and Family Services team, or Youth and Family Support team. You want to go to the next?
So we just thought we'd start today with some of the statistics. Now, these ones are a little bit further back than what we would have liked, but they're probably the best ones to sort of start with. They're not the right ones. Yep. So according to Beyond Blue, 1 in 16 young people are experiencing depression, and 1 in 6 are currently experiencing an anxiety episode of some sort. You want to do that? 1 in 4 currently have a mental health condition, and suicide accounts for more deaths than car accidents do. And that's just really sad. Evidence has shown that 3 in 4 adult mental health conditions actually first emerged by the age of 24, and half of these by the age of 14. So by the time they get to be adults, you know, if they haven't learnt those coping strategies, if they haven't learnt that they can reach out for help, then there's that real risk of them getting to a really quite serious point of view. So at Roseberry, we really focus on that, getting in early, helping young people learn that they can cope, they can reach out for help. There's so many people out there who will help them, because for a lot of them, it's really scary. You know, there's so much going on for them that they just don't know whether they're, you know, am I normal, am I not normal? And they just keep it all buried away.
We also see at Roseberry where a lot of young people are scared of the mental health word. So, you know, depression, OMG, yep. It's the end of the world. Where really it's not. There's a lot of different areas. So there's, you know, young people can go through slight depressive episodes and we can assist them through that, give them the strategies, anxiety episodes, like I'm experiencing now. No, I'm just joking. But we can give them the tools to help manage those. We've got quite a lot of strategies up our sleeves to help with youth-focused stuff. A lot of the times too, we see young people come to the service and they don't believe that they can have a mental health concern. They think that they're too young to have mental health issues. Their parents believe they're too young to have mental health issues. I've actually heard GPs tell a young person recently who was 13, you're too young to have depression. And that statement right there is very scary. Because if you're in the field, you know that depressive episodes can happen at any age. And to hear that from a professional is quite scary, because they walk out of that room and they think, no one's going to help me. So just keep that in mind when you're working with young people, please, if you can. That would be great.
Yep. Thanks. So we thought we'd add in some of the characteristics of mental health concerns. And the hard part is you look at a lot of those up there, so change in sleep patterns, waking up more often, they can't get up in the morning. A lot of them are, you know, you look and go, well, that's just what teenagers do, isn't it? You know, and we hear a lot from parents where it's just like, oh, they're just going through a phase, they're just being difficult, they're just too lazy to go to school. And so they overlook some of the signs. Change in appetite, and it can be that increase or decrease. You know, and then you have that problem of, you know, are they just worried about our body image? Is there actually something going on? Or is it just that, you know, through that developmental changes, something else is happening? Weight gain or loss to go with it, change in activity levels, increased getting really tired easy. It's just... and yeah, I did write this, so you'd think I'd put words I could pronounce properly. Withdrawal from social interactions and previously enjoyed activities, you know, and again, these are things that can be normal developmentally. They do. I mean, I know my daughter did. She hit high school and suddenly it wasn't cool to do athletics anymore and things like that. So it's really hard, and it's about not assuming, asking those extra questions, talking more, asking more questions, and that's what we tend to do. And I think that's sometimes why the young people eventually open up to us, because we don't make that assumption. We let them know they're in charge, they're the boss, they get to make that decision. You know, if they say to me, no, I don't want to go and see someone else, then we follow through with that and we support them until we can get them to sort of open up that bit more. So, yeah. Next one. One of the first things we actually encourage a lot of our parents when they bring their young people in is to go and get a health checkup. A lot of teenagers haven't been to the doctors for ages. They haven't had a bit of a blood workup, things like that. And with the developmental changes, sometimes things can get missed. I recently worked with a young person, and after about 3-4 months, was sort of like there'd been absolutely no change, but the GP had already put them on antidepressants because they had a past depressive episode. So after 4 months, I'm saying to them, nothing's changing. And the young person was identifying nothing's changing. We sent them back for a biological check, and they had some low iron, they had a B12 or 6 deficiency, things like that. Give them some supplements. They were off the antidepressants within the month, and everything had bounced back. They didn't need to see me anymore. So we always really sort of reinforce the parents, you know, there's, as you can read there, so Barbara Shidkraut, I'm hoping I pronounced that right, but she's in America, so she won't know. She's a psychiatrist in America, and, you know, she's written a book. There's a book called Unmasking Psychological Symptoms, and it talks about those normal somatic sort of issues that can actually mask or represent or get confused with a psychological problem. And you are not going to get any effect doing any amount of therapy if there's something else going on. Just the same as if you give medication, it's not going to work if there's a mental health condition there. So, yeah. Hank? No. Your turn. Your turn.
So we'll continue on the health checks. Untangling cause and effect of symptoms can be extremely challenging, like we said, because there can be signs that we see that are very typical in adolescent behaviour, as it is, so withdrawing, all that sort of stuff. Developmental factors are important, so peer-centred behaviours are crucial to teenagers. They need to be supported and assisted and welcomed by their peers. For adolescents, that's their entire world, is their friends. I know you love them. Well, some of you might love them, some of you might not. But yeah, their friends come first, always. Whatever their friends think that is the cool thing to do is the right thing to do. So if they're starting to pull back from all those friends that used to be their world, that's a big sign, in our opinion anyway, that there's something going on. There's, you know, and it can be as little as, you know, a slight case of social anxiety where they don't like being in a room full of people all of a sudden. And that can be quite typically onset, but we can help with those strategies and tools to get those behaviours back and get them back into the world of enjoying their peers and getting involved in sports and whatever they were into. Exploring and developing their own identity. So that's another crucial part for adolescents, is their need to figure out who they are in the world. Who am I? What am I going to do? How am I going to react in situations? Who am I without my family? Because I need to be over here with my friends. So that sort of stuff is very important. As is developing their own values and priorities. It goes hand in hand, yeah. They need to believe that they aren't going to be on their own very soon. I have a 16-year-old at home telling me right now that he's going to move out. I said, bring it on. Good luck with that. But, you know, they all have to make their own path, and we just have to trust that we've done a good enough job to get them through that period.
Yep.
As professionals, we just need to remember that young people are in that mindset where peers come first and their priority is to develop their own identity so that we can help guide that through. Okay. And that brings us to brain development, but we'll go on to Kevin first.
We just thought we'd give you a little bit of hopefully the internet will work out for me, but a lighthearted view of what it's like for young people when they become an adolescent. So.
Only 30 seconds to go before I'm 13, 29, 28, 27. Boing. Can I have some more ice cream, Mum?
Kevin, you've eaten all the ice cream in the house, remember?
Oh, yeah. Duh. Bloody hell, I'm thick, Mr. Bean. Oh no! Oh no! 15, 14, 13, up against Super Mario Kart. Boom, bam, bam, boom, bam, bam, boom, bam, bam. I don't have to go to bed tonight, do I?
Yes, in 5 minutes. Remember, you've still got school tomorrow.
Oh yeah, dear Brian. Yeah! I'm 13!
Happy birthday, Kevin.
Happy birthday to me! Happy birthday to me! Happy birthday, Dick! Go! Go!
Kevin? Darling, he's losing the power of rational thought.
And the use of his arms.
He's become a teenager.
Kevin!
What?
It's your birthday, Kevin.
I know!
Happy birthday, Kevin!
Okay, stop going on about it, will you? Why isn't there bloody ice cream?
Oh, come on, Kevin. You've eaten 5 tubs on your own this evening, remember?
So unfair, I hate you!
Kevin, don't speak to your mum and I like that.
What? I didn't say anything! What?
No, Kevin, that is for the morning.
I can't do anything anymore!
Oh, well, seeing as you've started, at least it'll cheer him up.
Well, you said you wanted Super Mario Kart.
I hate Super Mario, it's sad! I want a bloody high five!
Right, that's it, off to bed.
I am not going to bed, I'm going out!
Oh, don't be so stupid, Kevin. You can't go out now.
Why not?
Because it's 12 o'clock, it's way past your bedtime, it's pouring with rain outside, it's dangerous for a child on his own, you've got nowhere to go, and you've got school tomorrow.
That is so unfair, I hate you! All right then, I will go to bed, okay? Happy?
Good night, Kevin.
Don't bloody shout at me!
Don't worry, darling. It's only a phase. It only lasts for 4 or 5 years.
So that was Kevin. And sadly to say, I'm pretty sure I've seen that at home a few times. You know, I've got a few teenagers there. So, okay, so we just wanted to talk a little bit about parent perspectives. So as professionals, you know, we often will have those parents come in and it's very much about, you know, my kid's broken, fix them. You know, and it's about listening to them and hearing what they're actually saying, because sometimes they don't realise that, from a family perspective, I work with parents all the time who, you know, they don't know any different but what they were brought up as. I can't count the number of times I've heard, you know, well, I was flogged, I'm all right, you know, and you've probably all heard it as well. But it's about knowing that they know their young person better than anyone else. They've got to live with them. So I really try to sort of talk to my parents about, you know, rather than me working with their young person, it's about me teaching them how to work with their young person, because they're the one who's at home with them. So, you know, it's about really listening to the parents and working through that sort of stuff. I often encourage parents to keep mood diaries on their kids, and if we can get their young people to keep a mood diary as well. They're not too interested in my diaries. I usually wrap it up around on your phone, just type it in there. That usually works. And if something feels off, follow up. Just keep following up, because, you know, 9 times out of 10, they're right. So, and to talk really openly with their young people, you know, because at the end of the day, if you hide things from your young person, then that only makes them more sort of paranoid. What's going on? What's mum coming? So it's about talking openly to them and saying to them, you know, I'm really worried about you. I don't understand why you're doing this. Is something going on? Because sometimes you have a case where the parents, you know, they have these expectations. They have these dreams for their young people, and the young people don't want to break their parents' heart by saying, well, actually, that's not going to happen, you know, because I'm feeling this. I'm not fitting in school. I'm not, you know, I'm not the centre, you know, carrying on and things like that. And so young people, they'll protect their parents as much as their parents are protecting them. So it's really important to encourage parents to have that open conversation with them. So the adolescent brain, for a long time we believed it was fully developed by 5, and as most of you all know, that's not true. It's more around that 25-year age group. Now, what they've sort of discovered is that in teenagers, that frontal lobe section is still under development. So that section handles a lot of our instant gratification, the impulse control, that judgment ability, that planning, long-term, thinking ahead. They have a limited ability to do that, to think about, drop a 5 plan on them and they're just like, what? That's like forever away. What about tomorrow? What about in 5 minutes' time? That's about as far as they're going to want to think. So they have a limited ability to perceive the consequences outside of that instant gratification. And they're also limited in their emotional control. Now, the brain's really flexible in what it does and it's very elastic. And when one section's not working very well, the amygdala comes along and it tries to help out that frontal lobe section. And, as Jenny touched on a little bit before, the amygdala, it actually manages a lot of emotion regulation. So with young people, quite often what happens is when it's trying to help that frontal lobe from doing its very, that it's consequence thinking, it's long-term thinking, it's problem solving and all that, it gets so overwhelmed that it literally will just spew out emotion. So that's that, that uncontrollable crying, that uncontrollable anger when you're looking at them going, what? I only said there's no nuggets for dinner. What are you doing? And it scares young people. So often I have young people saying to me, I just get so angry and I don't know why, and I think I'm going to kill someone. And they're not going to do that, but they are so scared because they don't know where that emotion's coming from. So it's about really helping them, when they are getting overwhelmed, stepping back and saying, this is what's going on. I've had so many of them when I explain that brain business to them, and they're like, oh, so what you're telling me is I'm normal and I'm actually going to, grow out of it. And that can be a big relief for them. So
I believe Benita's going to go into the sensory stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, so that winds in perfectly with our adolescence trying,
Yep.
so that'll get covered.
So we just wanted to also just touch briefly on decision making. So as adults, we all know that, we'll identify a problem. Then we'll try to identify possible solutions, we'll develop those solutions, work out how we're going to do it. We're going to make a decision, we go ahead and follow through with that, and then we might evaluate at the end and go, well, that didn't work or it did, and, just go back to square one, start again. In our experience, the adolescent problem solving, decision making looks more like this. There's a problem. Possible solutions? Forget that. What will my friends think? Then instead of developing it, it's, will I look cool to my friends? Then, make that decision and go from there. And it's more about, what did my friends say? Forget that mum and dad are going, you idiot, why would you do that? You could have broken your leg. It's like, yeah, but my mates think it's really awesome, So we have to take that into account with young people. It's like we said before, peers are just the top of the list for them. And it doesn't mean that they care more about them than anyone else. It's just, that's just the developmental stage they're at. So communicating with teenagers and with adolescents, remember they don't have that emotional control, so it's about staying calm. No matter what they're doing, you've got to stay calm, which is not easy. And most of my parents look at me like I've grown 2 heads or something when I say you've got to stay calm. So
Some breaths.
yeah, be prepared to know what you want to focus on. So it's about picking that one thing, just one little thing, and starting from there and setting a young person up for a bit of success in making those changes in the behaviour. So know what your bottom line is. Know what, if you're working with a young person, and we'll often say to parents, look, if you want your young person home by 10 o'clock, tell them 9 o'clock to start with. And then you've got room to negotiate.
They will argue and argue and argue, and they will be so happy with 10 o'clock once you finally say yes.
Yep.
They'll be like, yes, I won. You already had 10 o'clock in your head anyway, so it doesn't matter. Win-win.
Okay, so don't ambush them. So many of my parents, they'll be, they were in trouble at school today. I got a phone call from the teacher and they're on that door waiting for them at 3 o'clock. And they're like, gonna get you. And the kid walks in and it's just like, whoa. So it's really about encouraging them to step back, take some time, calm down, be prepared. Say to your young person, hey, listen, I had a call from the school today, but we'll discuss that tonight at dinner or something, or we'll discuss it after dinner. It gives the young person time too to collect their thoughts and to be more willing to talk about it, because they don't come into it, right, what are you saying? They're not coming in defensive because they think they've got a chance to have a discussion. Try not to deal with issues in the heat of the moment, and remember that your priorities aren't going to necessarily match that adolescence. And even from a professional standpoint, I might be able to talk to a young person and go, you know what, you need to work on this and you might need to work on that. They don't care. What do I know? You know, so it's about sometimes we go take a step back and go, okay, so you're almost getting expelled from school, but we're going to work on how you'll fight with your friend today. No worries, you know, because we've got to understand that what's important to them isn't necessarily what's important to us. And if we can get through what's important to them, they're more willing to actually sit down and have that conversation with us next. So behaviour management, boundaries. As much as young people argue, scream, fight, all that, they crave them. They absolutely crave routine, they crave boundaries.
If you're working with parents, the best thing you can do is tell them to put in clear boundaries and consequences. Write them up on the wall. If you have to, write them up on a huge big whiteboard or on the fridge. If you do this, this is going to happen. If you are late, you get grounded, whatever. These are the boundaries, these are the consequences, these, you know, actions equals consequences. Young people will fight you, it come up with them. We do it all the time in our office. We get our young people to come up with boundaries, actions, consequences. It's amazing when you see, if you are clear and consistent with those boundaries, how quickly those young people will turn around and provide the right choices and things like that.
Yep.
They will fight you. They will. But anecdotally, we can say it works all the time. Oh,
Yeah.
Not only anecdotally, but there's a hell of a lot of research as well. Heck of a lot of research, sorry.
And the other benefit of setting those clear guidelines and writing them down like that is you actually take the argument out. You can, explain to the parents. They don't have to fight then. You can just point and go, that's what you did. That's the consequence you agreed for. Sorry, can't, And that way it gives them that out, that they don't have to have that conversation. They don't have to have that screaming match. It's just like, that's what you agreed to. That was what we contracted. We're out. When you do this, I can give you this reward. And it gives the parents the chance to focus on catching their kids when they're being good and giving them that positive, that positive attention. Because at the end of the day, that's what the kids want. The young people just want attention. And as you all know, bad attention is just as good attention to them.
It also gives them that ownership over their behaviours as well. So I know if I do this, I'm going to get that. So.
And always negotiate those consequences and rewards with them. They're usually tougher on themselves than parents are most of the time anyway. So where to go to help? We actually have a lot of services that can help young people with mental health and developmental stuff. We've got Roseberry, we've got Headspace, the GPs can help out. You've got child youth mental health, your private sector people, your school support staff, they're awesome. And then you've got your phone ones. But it's really important to make sure that the parents you're working with and that know, and even young people, that if they're honestly at risk of harm or thinking suicidal thoughts or anything like that, ring an ambulance. I can't, it scares me how many parents look at me and go, I didn't know I could do that. I thought because they weren't actually injured, I couldn't do that. So it's really important to get that message out to parents and out to the young people that, if you're worried about your mate, if you're worried about your child or whatever, ring 000. Get them up to ED. They will help them. So, yep, that's it. I survived.
Lovely. So as Wendy so kindly introduced me, my name is Marnie. I'm one of the occupational therapists and I've got the pleasure of working at Autism Queensland out at Gleneden. Today I'm going to talk to you about self-regulation, and I'm talking from a point of view not just, specifically looking at autism. I'm talking from a point of view of self-regulation for all children, all people, and I think it's an area that everyone can really benefit from. So today, what we're hoping is for everyone to leave here to have an understanding of what self-regulation really is, and we'll talk about some basic approaches to assist children and, to be honest, adults in learning to be more independent in their own regulation. I'm going to do a token disclaimer here. Self-regulation is complex. It is extremely complex, so you're not going to leave here today being able to manage every situation available. But the idea is to go home a little bit more confident on understanding what self-regulation is, and maybe starting to understand a little bit more about why you might see what you're seeing with the children you work with, and potentially even the colleagues that you work with or the family that you have at home. And also, any input or comments or anything along the way, please feel free to jump in and let me know, and we can discuss things a little bit further. So let's have a talk about what is self-regulation. So self-regulation is the ability to adjust your level of alertness and direct how your emotions are revealed behaviourally in socially adaptive ways in order to achieve goals. Kind of a little bit of a wordy definition, it's kind of the token one that everyone does. I thought a nice way to explain it is using myself. So I'm up here, I'm ridiculously excited, beyond excited about being able to stand up here in front of people. Anyone that knows me knows I love to talk. I'm so excited that all I want to do is run around in circles. Run. Probably would be slightly distracting to you all. Now, I think, personally, I've got fairly well-established self-regulation skills. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce my level of alertness, I'm going to control my excitable emotions, and I'm going to maintain what I think is a relatively appropriate social behaviour to enable me to achieve the goal of being able to present to you guys all tonight. An example in the classroom. Little Bobby, he's sitting there and he has a Spider-Man toy. Billy next to him has a pretty exciting Superman toy. Now, if Bobby doesn't have the best established self-regulation skills, he may snatch the toy, or Billy may not let him snatch it, and that results in little Billy having an absolute meltdown, tantrum, running around, cannot control what's going on right now. That's an example of a little one that probably doesn't have the best self-regulation skills. If we take a flip side, he's sitting there, he's got his toy, his friend's got another toy, he thinks that looks pretty good, but he has the ability to self-talk and say, you know what, I really want that toy, but I know that my friend is really enjoying playing with it, and I know that my teacher won't like it if I take that toy off him. So I'm going to sit here and think, okay, that toy's okay. Maybe I can go home and tell Mum that that's really cool and I want it for my birthday. That's an example of someone with relatively good self-regulation skills. Unfortunately, especially children that we see often with maybe maladaptive self-regulation strategies and skills, they tend to react impulsively, they can react strongly to emotional stimuli, and we see things like tantrums, aggression, or self-injury. And often these types of behaviours are interpreted as deliberate, defiant, and they may be, purely based on the fact this child has difficulty with their regulation. So let's think of a time now, each and every one of you, of when you've got really angry. A time that you have just been really annoyed. Think about how you may have reacted. Now, if I went around the room and asked each and every one of you, I would see we would all hear a whole variety of different responses of what they did when they got angry. And the point of this is to explain is that we're all not the best at